What's up, everybody? Welcome to Moxie Bets, presented by Caesar Sportsbook. I'm Katie Mox, and today we're talking basketball, NBA playoffs, and I couldn't do it with anybody else but my guy, Jeff Johnson. Why? Because the Knicks, baby, are the number 2 seed in the East. I had to. We worked together at MSG Networks, and I got this. I believe it was the first game of the season in 2021. And you know Jeff, you love him from MSG Networks, from Bleacher Report, and he's an Emmy winner. Okay, I don't think I've seen you or talked to you since you won the Emmy, so true. Congratulations.
Yes, thank you so much. I appreciate you.
New York Sports Emmy. I mean,
yes,
come
ma'am.
on.
Yeah,
So
it's been it's been a great ride. It's the reward for good work is more work, so I'm here to put in that more work. From the foundations we built together and then taking it up exponentially. So ready to rock.
Ready to rock. And also you can check him out on his YouTube channel at Jeff J Says for everything sports and entertainment related, and certainly everything New York. That's why we have him on the pod today. And he's my guy in basketball. If there's anything happening in basketball, and Jeff, I should just let you know, my producers are always like, do you think we can get Jeff back on? I'm like, we can. We could try. For NBA, especially the Knicks, we have to. So we are.
Of course.
Thank you. We appreciate you. So we're going to get into the Knicks, and we're going to talk a lot about that one. But obviously, we've still got some of these play-in games, the play-in finals that are happening on Friday. So you got the Bulls and the Heat. The Heat are favored -2.5. Then you got the Kings and the Pelicans, and the Kings are favored -1.5. So super tight spreads here for these two games. Unfortunately, there's some major injury notes on both of these teams. Jimmy Butler, Jimmy Buckets, playoff Jimmy. This one hurts a lot. He injured his right knee early. May have sustained damage to his MCL, according to The Athletic. He is set to undergo an MRI today on Thursday to determine the severity of that injury. And so this could sideline him indefinitely. Then you got the Bulls. Alex Caruso has significant ankle sprain. His availability is in doubt for the play-in game versus the Heat. And then if we move to the Western Conference, Zion Williamson with the Pels has been ruled out of Friday's play-in tournament. Elimination game against the Kings. He left with a hamstring strain. The team announced on Wednesday, and the Pelicans said, I think they're doing an MRI, or they have done an MRI. They did it on Wednesday, and that confirmed the injury, and that he will be reevaluated approximately in 2 weeks. Can these teams get by without their stars? You look at Zion. Zion dropped 40 points in that game before getting injured. You look at Jimmy Butler, his importance to the Miami Heat all the time, but certainly in the playoffs, cannot be undervalued. Does this affect the way you look at these teams moving forward?
Oh, yeah, 100%. I think that the Pelicans are more well-built to withstand Zion being out than Miami is. If they were both in the game, I probably would have leaned towards their teams, just like as a foreshadowing. I probably would have strongly leaned towards their teams to get out of the play-in, right? But I look at Miami and I look at what they're built around. It feels like with Jimmy, you're literally pulling the rug out from under them. And while they've been able to sustain it through the regular season, it's just one game, and you need your key players to show up. Yeah. I don't know if that's going to happen, but New Orleans is more built because they've had to play with Zion for longer, for stretches without him. So they have a system in place to supplement whatever they're going to lose with him out.
Yeah, they've had almost whole seasons without Zion, although he is playing much better. He's finally, that's the disappointing thing about this, is that Zion finally looks like the player that he was drafted to be. He's slimmed down in weight. He seems to be taking it very seriously. So this is a huge bummer, but we'll see what happens. If they can get out of this, maybe he can come back at some point in this playoff run. All right, so looking at the Bulls Heat, you said that you would lean to the Heat if Jimmy Butler was in, but he's not. So does that mean we're looking at the Bulls here?
Yeah, and now that I think about it, just because of the run the Bulls have been on the last couple of weeks of the season, I might have even I like the plus 118 that I saw as money line for the Bulls, and I really like it because they've been in this win or go home mindset for the last couple of weeks of the season, trying to lock up a play-in spot. You saw they played the Knicks game 82 of the regular season where their spot was already locked up, and they went for the kill shot against the Knicks, went to OT. It was like the Tom Thibodeau classic, right? Where the two teams, the last game of the regular season, where by the end of the night, their spots were pretty much set, but they still wanted to win the game. And after that game, although they lost by 1 point, I knew they were ready. I didn't think Atlanta was going to give them that much of a resistance, but now going into Miami for this eighth spot, playing for the eighth spot, they have revenge on their mind. DeMar DeRozan's daughter, DR, told him, I'm not coming to the play-in game. I want to come to the playoffs. So now it's time for him to finish his story and get to the postseason. You remember when she was screaming at the players shooting free throws and they were missing free throws.
I loved that so much. That was so cute. And sorry, keep going.
No, go ahead.
Now, I was going to say, I used to do that as a kid. There was 1 year where my dad's company had season tickets for the Warriors, and it was when they were redoing Oracle. They're redoing Oracle, and so they were in San Jose. And so I used to scream at the top of my lungs when the opposing team was doing the free throw shot. So it resonated with me.
Yeah, 100%. And I think there could be like a mini 30 for 30 one day about what if she would have came to the game in Miami last year against the Bulls? Would she have been the difference maker in that game? But yeah, I think the momentum is all on the Bulls side right now. And they have the personnel that can break Miami's zone. You got guys like DeMar DeRozan who are mid-range assassins. Kobe White, who has emerged as a real deal player and an offensive threat. And I just think at this point, they have everything going for them to take this game in Miami.
Yeah, I agree with you. And I definitely lean that way too. Bulls money line, good value there too, plus 118. It's just hard to imagine what this Miami team could look like without Butler. And for the similar reasons, I'm taking the under on this one. It's at 207. We've seen this line move down a little bit. When you look at the season series between these two teams, it's split 2-2, but we're looking at significant injuries on both sides because I really think that Caruso is a difference maker for Chicago in the playoffs. We saw him limited minutes, right, all season long. He's a little bit older than he used to be, but we would see these increased minutes, and he's so good on the defensive end of the floor too. So I worry about that. Now, Chicago has hit the over in 5 straight games, but previous to that, they had 4 straight unders. And you look at someone like Kobe White, I mean, he's been ridiculous, right? I think he's coming off of a career high of like 42 points, is the second most ever in play-in history. But these injuries, Jeff, are a problem. I was looking at the splits between what the Heat are able to do with Jimmy Butler on the court versus off the court this season versus the Bulls too. So the point differential plus 26 when he's on the court, minus 19 when he's off the court. And when you look at these defenses, I do think that they're both very, very good. I mean, they were able to hold the Sixers to just 105 points, and that is a very high-powered offense. So I expect this one to be harder to come by in points, maybe more of a hard-nosed battle. So I'm going to go under 207, but I'm with you on this one, and I definitely think that the Bulls are going to come out of this one victorious. All right, looking at the Kings and the Pelicans, we're both on the Kings here. I'm going to go ahead and lay this 1.5 just because no Zion is a huge problem for the Pelicans. They're heading into this game 6th in the league, I believe, an adjusted defensive rating. So like losing Zion isn't going to be that bad for the defensive end of the floor, but offensively, even though CJ McCollum has been pretty good as of late, I just think they're going to struggle with points here. So I'm laying the 1.5 with the Kings, but you found a different angle.
Yeah, I'm hitting their team total over 106.5. They've hit this in 4 straight games and 8 out of the last 10. And New Orleans, via cleaning the glass that filters out garbage time when they take into account ratings and offensive ratings and all their stats, really. New Orleans defensive rating is 113.9. So mathematically, everything is lining up for me to hit this team total. I like the value that I got at it. Believe it was minus 115. I think that's solid value. I like your pick at minus 1.5, but I also minus 1.5, I should say. But I also love it when I can make a prop bet that doesn't have to deal with the outcome of the game and is just based on the Kings. They scored 118 against the Warriors. I think they can at least get 107. They're going to need it if they're going to beat the Pels. So I think they can get it there.
Yeah, and look, that was, I'll just go back to that game against the Warriors, one of the most depressing playoff games of my Warriors fandom. I've been saying all year long, don't let the Warriors get into the playoffs. And then they got into the play-in, and it was the worst I've seen Curry look in a while. Klay Thompson, if that is his last game with the Warriors, I could shed a tear because it was awful. Absolutely awful. But the Warriors are a whole other situation. Now we're moving on to teams that are winning. So let's talk about this weekend. Let's talk about the Knicks versus the Sixers. Jeff, the Knicks are the number 2 seed. How wild is that? The number 2 seed in the East. We always have been talking about for the last couple of years how dominant the Eastern Conference is and how that is the conference to beat. And then the Knicks are number 2. How do you feel?
I feel great. I've seen literally 4 or 5 different iterations of this team this season, whether it was due to trades or injuries. They've fielded multiple different versions of themselves, but their mantra still remains next man up, play defense, control the boards, extend possessions, and just play hard and play to win every single game. They're all maniacal like that. They have that like-minded mentality where they want to win each game. And that's why it was just, Mox, I'm telling you, I've never seen a level of sports cowardice as I've seen throughout, from fans, from media, from pundits talking about ducking and dodging teams.
Right.
I'm telling you, it left me so speechless because you want to play your best ball going into the postseason. And I think the Knicks have done that. They've been behind the 8 ball for most of the season because of their injuries. So now that they're here and they're playing their game, I actually think in the Knicks case, teams don't want to play them. They can say what they want about an easier path, but like I told other people before, I can use one hand to try to stop an elephant, and I could use one hand to try to stop a freight train. It might be easier to stop the elephant, but that's not going to stop me from getting trampled. And I think the Knicks are this elephant right now that is coming right down the middle of the jungle towards any team that's going to face. And with this Sixers squad coming up, I think it's going to be a fantastic matchup. But I do think you have to win the games that are in front of you. When you get the 2 seed, you're if you go on to the second round, you're guaranteed 2 series of home court advantage. And plus, you don't want to risk potential injury or anything that can happen when you're trying to not win a game.
Right. And I think that the New York Knicks have one of the greatest home court advantages with the fans in the playoffs that, you would want to secure that. So safe to say, you're not one of those people that thought that the Knicks shouldn't win the last game of the season, should have slipped down to the 3rd spot there. And your logic makes so much sense. And even if you got an easier seed in round 1, you're still going to have to see the big dogs in the next one. So you might as well get over it, like you said, in the beginning. Go with the momentum, continue to build that confidence. And so even though the Knicks are favored in this series, they're favored in this game by 2.5 points for game 1. Majority of people talking are thinking that this is the Sixers no matter what. I would say I feel a lot of media pundits, a lot of people are like, oh, the Sixers are absolutely going to, totally upset the Knicks here, even though the Knicks are the number 2 spot. How do you see this series playing out? What's your best bet?
My best bet is for the Knicks in 6. That's pretty much what I'm betting as my best bet right now.
See, I went in 7. I was a little more scared than you. Okay.
Yeah, you know what? I understand it. Like, I'm giving Embiid and Maxey the respect of a game each. Shout out to my guy, Justin Tinley, also with ESPN, who has his playoff theory where he says your best player wins 2 games, your second best player wins 1 game, and role players may win the 4th game. And I hope I didn't botch that, Justin. I think that's your theory. It's his theory on how teams win the playoff game. So I'm giving Embiid and Maxey 1 game each. I think they can. I think they can do it. But this is a team right now in the Knicks that I think, given any caveat you want, they're still the better team. They're better offensively. They have the better net rating. They're the deeper team. They control the offensive glass. They're still throughout. Think about Mitchell Robinson, 50-plus games missed. Isaiah Hartenstein was dealing with a Achilles injury on and off throughout the season. They're still number 1 in offensive rebound percentage in the entire association. One of the best rebounding teams in the league. They'll have 48 minutes of elite center defensive play to throw at Joel Embiid. And plus, these injuries have given players like Deuce McBride, Dante DiVincenzo, Josh Hart has become a triple threat. A triple double threat. If you would have told me that last year, I would have said, please give me the Powerball numbers because you clearly know something I don't, right? And above everything else, the play of Jalen Brunson emerging as a top 5 MVP
Oh,
caliber player, all NBA, all everything, all world at this
yep.
point. And OG Anunoby, that
Suffocating.
defensive game changer. When he's on the court, his defensive rating is almost the team's defensive rating is almost 8 points better than the Timberwolves, who are the number one. And the distance between the Knicks and the Timberwolves is the same as the Knicks and as the Timberwolves and the Bulls. 21
Right.
spots, 21 spots in the league just from one player's effect. I take all of that into account. Also,
Yeah.
Embiid is not 100%. He's not
Right.
100%. So taking all that into account, I like Knicks in 6. I do want to get too aggressive and go to 5 because anything can happen.
But you
I
feel it.
like them in 6. I feel I can
Okay.
see it happening. I can see it, especially if they win game 1.
Yeah.
That puts more pressure on Embiid to come
Yeah.
out strong in game 2 and save the series. We don't know how much longer he has on that knee or what the effects are going to be, how he's going to react to rest and all of that. And we've seen this movie before with Embiid and injuries. So given everything, I can see a world where the Knicks could win in 5, but I'm going 6.
I mean, I like it, and I think I'm taking the Knicks in 7. I do think that they're kind of getting disrespected a little bit, considering most people, I think, oh, well, the only reason why the Sixers are the seed that they are is because Joel Embiid missed significant time this season, right? We look at the Sixers with Embiid, 32-8 with him this season, just 16-27 without him. So there is something to be said about that. That also
For sure.
includes the play-in. They won 9 straight games. It's the longest active streak in the NBA, and the 76ers longest streak this season. But the Knicks are 3-1 against Philly in the regular season. And by the way, one of those games was without Joel Embiid in action. I just think that we saw how good I thought the Heat were going to win this game against the Sixers in the first play-in game. I mean, they were winning for 90% of the game. Jimmy Butler,
Yeah.
of course, gets injured, and the Sixers do their thing. And I'll credit to it. It was a very exciting, thrilling win, 105-104. But I do think that the Knicks defense and what you just talked about with OG, they can hold this team. They have what it takes to hold this team. So if I look at the regular season record and I think about this Knicks defense and I think about Jalen Brunson, I think that they can win in 7. I still think that Philly's going to give a run for their money. If they could do it in 5, I mean, more hats off to New York. They'll have to burn the city down. We'll just have to remember that there's more to go, Knicks fans. Okay, let's not get too excited. But if the Knicks win in 5, what would the city be like if the Knicks actually won in 5?
It would be pandemonium. I could tell you after the Cavs series, because you got to remember they were the underdog in the Cavs series also, and they're going into this as pretty much the underdog too. Because I can understand folks' logic saying if everything broke the way y'all thought it was going to break, the Sixers would be 2 and the Knicks would be the 7th seed. But you know, if ifs were fifths, we all know the rest, right? The Knicks fans are just ready. I think they're ready. And despite all of the injuries and all of the adversity they've had to overcome, Knicks fans are passionate. They are hyped and they believe. And when their belief is rewarded with wins, they're going to express it. And 7th Ave, just get ready. If you're driving in the city, don't go down 7th Ave after Knicks games, because if they win, it's shut down for at least 20 minutes, okay? The Knicks, and I even say it, Mox, only one team is going to win this whole thing. So if your team is in the playoffs, you better celebrate every win like it's the last, because who knows? And I think Knicks fans appreciate that and appreciate this team and the cultivation that's happened with this team to become a competent, functional franchise and among one of the best teams in the league consistently. So Knicks fans are going to have fun with it, and it's going to be a fun time. The New York City feels more alive when the Knicks are good. And shout out to the Rangers too, because the Rangers look like they're poised for another run. And when that's happening, it's S tier level for New York City.
Yeah. Oh God, I can't even imagine. All right. So if you want the Knicks minus the 1.5 games, which is basically them winning in 6, is at plus 210. Knicks to win in 7, you can find plus 360, slightly more value on that one, and that is, of course, according to our friends over at Caesars Sportsbook. Okay, moving on to the next game, the Pacers and the Bucks. This is line is basically a pick 'em. We've got the Pacers -1 here. This total 233.5. Obviously, Giannis's status is unclear. That's where we've seen this line shift. It opened up at 5.5, moved all the way down to 1. Considering Giannis's status is very important to this team. Are you taking a stab at the first game here, or what do you think about the series?
Yeah, I think I would go. I like the value of Bucks even money because
Okay.
if you watch this series between Milwaukee and Indiana, it's so fascinating because even when the Bucks have had their whole team, it just seemed like a Styles meets fight situation where Indiana's high-powered offense was too much for Milwaukee, who had a high-power offense of their own.
Yeah.
It just felt like first to 149 wins, and Indiana just so happened to get to that 149 first before them. But I have to factor in playoff Damian Lillard. I have to factor in Lillard time. I have to set my watch and check my chronometer and tell you that when Damian Lillard and Dame time is in the building, anything can happen. They're probably not going to have Giannis for those first couple of games. Hopefully he comes back game 3 or game 4. Calves are really funny. Soft tissue injuries can linger and linger and linger. I think he's going to try to fight back, but I like unexpected spots in these game ones because anything can happen and they're at home. I love the value of them at even money. So that's where I want to go with it.
All right, Jeff taking the Bucks as the underdogs on the money line at even
1.
money for the first game. Yeah. I'm looking at the total. Like, I don't know who's going to win this series. Obviously, the Giannis question is so big, but I do think no matter who wins this series, they can get it done in 6. So I'm saying the total number, I don't know who's going to win, will be 6 games of this series. That's at +180. And like you just said, Giannis is expected to miss at least the first couple games of this series, which of course is going to favor the Pacers, right? And the offense, like you just said, still has shooters. I mean, we're talking about Damian Lillard. We're talking about Dame time. We're talking about playoff Dame. So I'm not worried about the offense, but what does the defense look like without Giannis? That's what kind of worries me a little bit with this Bucks team. And the Pacers certainly have the style of play to compete with this Bucks team. The Pacers did win 4 of 5 games against Milwaukee this season. If Giannis is fully healthy, I think that the Bucks can take care of this in 6. If he's not, I think that the Pacers can get in there. So I'm saying this series ends in 6 games no matter what. And that's at +180. All right, moving on. Magic versus the Cavs. Now, this one is interesting because the Cavs tanked their way into this matchup. Will they regret it?
Oh my Lord. They
That laugh.
they did they? You want to talk about getting away. They said, give me the Boston side of the bracket. Yeah. We are not going to New York again. I hear them though, but now they got a Magic team, a hungry young Magic team that plays great defense, but has trouble scoring against a team in the Cavs which Cavs team is going to show up? This is the question that I have. That's why, and I hope I'm not jumping the gun, Mox. I went series. I loved your series total prop. Shout out to Caesars. I think it's going 7. I think
this one's going 7.
I think it's going 7. I fear for the Cavs in this spot because Donovan Mitchell hasn't been 100%. And I know, quote unquote, nobody is 100% in this time of year, but Donovan Mitchell is legit, hasn't been 100%. So they're coming back. Their smaller backcourt has to deal with everybody on it. Feels like everybody in the Magic are 6'10 or taller. It's hilarious. That is a long, tall, young team. And they played each other evenly throughout the regular season. And I could literally see it going either way. The Cavs are lucky that they have the home court advantage. I'll tell you that because the Magic are 18-23 on the road this season, I believe. Yeah. So, I think it's going. I like the +200 for it to go 7. I might even dabble in +6 too. Series to go 6.
Series to go 6. Yeah, no, I like that. And I could see this going to 7. I'm looking at this first game, though. And even though you just said with the Magic's road splits, where I'm still going to take them plus the 4.5 versus the Cavs. If I look at these teams, they match up pretty evenly, right? I mean, offensively, they struggle. Okay. Defenses are good enough usually to kind of keep them afloat, keep them in these games. But if we put them like right next to each other, I just believe that the Magic have been better offensively than the Cavs have been. And I also give them the defensive edge as well. So I'll give it to the Magic plus the 4.5 in this first matchup. And then, yeah, I could see this going toe to toe all the way to 7. We're going to take a quick break here and we come back. Western Conference playoffs that do not include the Warriors. Don't go anywhere. Why should you bet with Caesars Sportsbook? 2 words, Caesars Rewards. Every bet brings you closer to the type of benefits only Caesars can offer. Hotel stays, VIP experiences, sports and concert tickets, and more. It's not just an app, it's an empire. Welcome back to Moxie Bets, presented by Caesars Sportsbook. Here with our guy, Jeff Johnson of Jeff J Says on YouTube. All right, let's move on to the Western Conference playoff games and futures as well. If I look at this first one, we've got the Suns and the Timberwolves. And these are very tight spreads, a lot of these. You got the Suns as the underdog here. The T-Wolves are favored -1.5. Cat just returned from injury. The T-Wolves have minimal playoff experience, which is going to go into why I like the Suns in this one. But any thoughts for you? It seems like you're leaning the other direction.
Yeah, I have no faith in the Suns. I'm ye of little faith.
No faith.
When it comes to the
Zero?
Suns. They crawled their way out of the play-in in the final day. They've had a razor thin bench. I don't know what it's been about Beal and KD and Booker, but it feels like there's times where they look like world beaters and more times where they look too average for the level of talent that they have. I love Grayson Allen as part of their team. I think he's somebody who's important to strengthen their perimeter defense and to give them somebody else who can score. But this Wolves team, you talk about defense wins championships. They've been number 1 defensively for most of the season and ended the season like such. Jaden McDaniels, like this guy, man, he's gonna be on the all defensive list for sure. I feel like this is one of those matchups where you get that changing of the guard, that official changing of guard where the young team steps up and stakes their claim, and they got the home court advantage. I love the value that I'm getting for it too. So I think it's going to be fun. It's going to be really fun. But I hear you on the experience. I just don't, from what I've seen.
Yeah. Yeah, I mean, look, the math ain't mathin' for you, but I'm taking the Suns in 6, baby. And look, I mean, Minnesota, they've been one of the best teams in the NBA all season long. Like you said, number 1 best rated defense rating of 108.4 all season long. But I do think that they're going to have their hands full against Phoenix. I mean, the Suns have some shooters. They rank top 10 in both offensive rating and points per game. That's how they ended the season. And while Phoenix is big 3, and you kind of hit on this already, they're a little bit clunky. They don't have a lot of experience in games played together, but they have experience in the playoffs. Devin Booker went to an NBA final. You've got Kevin Durant, who has won multiple titles. So I feel like experience is going to edge out here. So I'm going to take the Suns in 6. This is at +325. But I also wouldn't be surprised if the Wolves win in 7. So let's see.
Yeah. I love the value at 350 too. It's like
yeah. That's the fun part about betting. And a shout out to Caesars and all of the books though too, because it's not like you could just, what I like about the best in 7 things, there's so many different ways to bet this. You could bet the total of games. You could bet the exact score. You could bet a series spread. You could bet there's so many different things that you can do. A lot of value on the board. So, listen to us, listen to whoever, but shop around and have some fun with these potential futures. Yep. Speaking of futures, the future is bleak for the Los Angeles Lakers. They ain't going nowhere. they ain't going nowhere. Why? Because they're up against the Nuggets. I mean, the Nuggets are laying 7 in the first round. And I got to tell you, give me the Nuggets to sweep the Lakers yet
back-to-back
again.
Sweeps.
Yet. There's nothing that says to me that the Lakers could win one of these games. The Nuggets, again, swept them last year. They won 8 straight games versus the Lakers, including the playoffs. It's the longest losing streak for the Lakers versus any team, including the playoffs. And when we look at this team, they're also 33-8 at home, the Nuggets. The Lakers don't have a chance. They don't have a chance. Give me the sweep at +4. Oh, +525. Hell yeah.
Yeah, I wouldn't be mad at that bet, especially given what happened this season, what happened last season, and the current state of the teams. I I can't think that a LeBron team is going to go back-to-back sweeps out. So
I
I
don't
thought about it, and
know.
I mean, I'm thinking about it. I'm like, there's got to be something that can be willed to at least one game. And Anthony Davis has been playing at a phenomenal level. It feels like he's realized the potential that people saw for him, even past what his greatness has been. Just consistent. He's played the most games in a while that he's played in the season. I think he played over 70 games this season. He's been stout on the defensive end, but now it is his series. It is his series to step up, and he's gonna have to win one of these games or be the focal point for one of these wins. I think when you have LeBron, who at this point, is he going to play until he's 50 and still have positive output? I don't know. It's just, he's just the most surest thing at this elevated age that I've seen in my history as a sports fan. But I think he's going to need the others and Anthony Davis to step up to be able to be a difference maker. That's why I liked Nuggets in 6. I still think you got to beat the champs. I got to see you beat the champs. They're still my pick to go all the way. I do think they can probably sneak one or two games and make this interesting. So I loved it at 425. I was like, okay, the books do not think this is going to happen.
You've got
So
more
I'll do
faith.
it.
You've got more faith than I do. All right, moving on to the Clippers versus the Mavericks. Dallas favored here, -1. Line is basically a pick on this total, 223.5. Kawhi Leonard's status is unclear. Never heard that before. That's something new. He's usually always available for everything. The Mavericks are the higher seed, and favored. Are the books sleeping on the Clippers a little bit?
No, I think they're fully awake and they see what we see. This has to be. I appreciate this matchup because we don't see real deal rivalries as much anymore in the NBA because players are so transient with going from team to team, and there's so much parity that you don't really get the same teams playing each other year after year after year in the playoffs. We've seen Boston and Miami has been one, and the Mavs and the Clippers have been the other. I think the Mavs have played fantastically this season, especially in the close of the second half. Kyrie emerging as that number 2 for Luka and that co-pilot and one of the deadliest clutch shooters we have in this playoff. And I haven't been able to see the Clippers get past these guys. And throughout all of these years, whether it's because of injury, whether it's whatever, right? I haven't seen it yet. And it's kind of like my Nuggets theory. I gotta see it to believe it. That's why I'm giving the Clippers 2 games in this. That's why I like the Mavs at 6 at +330. I just think there's something about this matchup where Luka gets the best of these guys. Regular season, he's like their John Wick. He's John Wick. He's Baba Yaga to the Clippers. Like the Clippers see him. He sees the Clippers and he just goes off. I don't know what it is. He just goes off, and I'm going to trust in that.
I'm going to trust in that, too, in game 1, which is why I'm taking the Mavs money line, which goes right into they're going to win in 6. They got to win this first game. And for a lot of the reasons that you just talked about, Jeff, I mean, this is one of the hottest teams in basketball right now and really one of the best players. Luka Doncic has been absolutely incredible. And to see him with Kyrie Irving, like, coming together and feeling like a connected locker room has just been great. I mean, they ended the season, I believe, on a 16-2 run. Absolutely incredible. And when I look at when they are favored on the money line, they've won 75% of games when favored. Okay, they are the slight favorite here, right? Just -1. So give me them on the money line. And then, of course, Kawhi Leonard missed the Clippers' final 8 games, I believe, of the season. He's got that persistent knee soreness. Your best ability is availability. And unfortunately for Kawhi Leonard, as talented as this guy is, he never has availability when it matters. So give me the Mavs in 6. I'm riding with you on that one. And then also give me the Mavs on the money line -120 to get out of this first game.
Love it.
All right, Jeff J. Time has come for Mox Locks. What is your best bet that you're absolutely taking to the window?
Knicks Sixers under 208.5. I hate unders, but I know a street fight when I see it. This is going to be, they might as well put a steel cage, a Hell in a Cell over Madison Square Garden, because you have two of the top defensive coaches in the history of basketball and in the league right now, in Tom Thibodeau and Nick Nurse. I watched these teams. Yeah, they were missing some players, but I watched these teams play a 79-73 game. I thought it was 1995 all over again. I had to check my watches. I was surprised I even had internet connection, because there was no internet like that back then, right? So I just think, and then the last four games they've played against each other have gone under. This number might be a little bit low. It's going to be razor thin on the margins, but I think this is going to be first to 100 wins.
Well, that plays in line with what I think of how the Knicks can get out of this series is really on defense and being able to limit the Sixers' ability to score. And I certainly think that they can do that. So I love this pick. I'm just going to continue to disrespect the Lakers here. I don't know if it's the Bay Area gal in me or what exactly, but give me the Nuggets -7 in game one versus the Lakers. Look, Lake Show, I love y'all, but y'all don't have a prayer in this series. You're getting swept by the Nuggets. And if this was a double-digit spread, I may think of giving the points to the Lakers, but it's not. It's 7. Mr. Triple Double is going to go all off on you. They just, y'all don't have it. Y'all don't have it. You're happy to be here. We get it. You won the, what was the tournament that they won this year that they hung in the rafters?
Tournament.
That's the only tournament you're winning this year. All right.
Oh, man.
Pack it up. Pack it up. And on that note, this concludes Moxie Bets. Jeff, thank you so much for joining today. Always so fun to talk NBA with you and the Knicks. Talk to me about what's going on your YouTube channel, Jeff J Says.
Yeah, we're going to be covering the entire postseason run. I also just recently covered WrestleMania. Shout out to House of Highlights, covered it for them. Yeah, so I did a vlog. I shot a vlog, and it was extensive, but we got a lot of great coverage, and you get a glimpse into everything I experienced over the weekend. So you could definitely check that out. The Jeff J Says YouTube channel. We're going to be talking Knicks. We're going to be talking NBA and covering this insane postseason run that's about to happen, because I think this is going to be a great playoff.
I need you to go to some of these playoff games. I need you to vlog your experience at a Knicks playoff game when they win.
That'd be awesome.
You have to. You have to.
I know.
Nobody's going to understand what it's like.
Yes.
Yeah, it's you. You have to do it. You have to do it. All right. You can follow Jeff on social as well at Jeff J Says. JJ, thank you so much for joining. This has been Moxie Bets presented by Caesar Sportsbook. Don't forget to follow us on social as well at Moxie Bets, and we'll see you next time.